Hello, thank you for joining us here today at TotalMD to go over setting up your practice information. From the home screen, all setup is done under Setup at the top. Today we're going to go under Practice Information and set up the practice. The first tab you'll see sets up the actual practice information in the system. You'll put in your practice name or the provider's name if it's a single practitioner. The street address, if you have a suite number, that goes on line 2, your city, state, zip, your telephone number, your fax number. If you're going to use our deposit slip at the end of the day to deposit your funds, you'll want to put in your bank account information here, as that will cause it to print on the deposit slip for you. If you're seeing all of your patients in one area code, you can put in a default area code. I would suggest leaving it blank if you service patients in more than one. The NPI needs to be filled in here, as it will populate box 33 from this position. Anesthesia needs to be checked if you're doing anesthesia, as it will give you additional options later on in the screens. This slice key will be set up by your support team if you're using our credit card partner. Under schedule settings, this is how you set up your scheduler to look the way you want it to. You can see that mine is set up to be only open Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. If we click Saturday 9 to 12, Saturdays will be added to the scheduler. This displayed appointment information shows different pieces of information that will be seen when you hover over the patient's name in the chart. So if I change that chart number, we're also going to change the primary insurance to maybe a phone number instead. So when we go into the scheduler, those are the pieces of information you'll see. I'm going to show that to you in a few moments. The time interval refers to how many minutes are in between each appointment. So if you see patients every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes, you'll want to change that time interval in here. The time height, I've got it 26. That pretty much fills up my page when I'm looking at the scheduler. To use the different colors to indicate what type of appointment you're using, you can either use the pastel colors or the darker colors. Is a personal preference. You can also, if you've got a newer version of TotalMD, click this full cell color box, and it will give a color to the full cell rather than just a line at the top. By going here, you can choose a color and give it a name of a type of appointment. So if we have, say, an occupational therapy patient, we can make all of our occupational therapy patients that color, and it makes it easier to define them in the scheduler as you're looking at it. In this box, you can hide the patient's name on the scheduler and only show the medical record number. You can show the patient's last name first, and you can do resource scheduling, which allows you to schedule things like x-ray rooms and exam rooms rather than just providers. In this dates office closed, you can add dates and remove dates that the office is going to be closed. Let's add the Monday after Christmas as a date that the office will be closed. All you do is click through your calendar, find the date, give it a name such as the day after Christmas, and save it, and then you'll see that populate in this box here. Now I'm going to bookmark this window. This is a very nice piece of TotalMD. By bookmarking windows, you can toggle back and forth between two places in the system without losing track of where you are. By toggling into the scheduler, you can see that I have several appointments on this day. By hovering over this patient, you can see the pieces of information that I chose in the practice setup. If you click onto July 4th, you can see that it's grayed out, and also in the scheduler it's grayed out here, and if you try to schedule an appointment, it will not allow you to do that. Going back to the program preferences, we're going to look at program settings now. Here there are many different pieces of information you can choose to use as you see fit. You can use your enter as a tab, so you can enter through information rather than tabbing. You can take out global pop-up messages if you choose. You can auto-calculate ledger balances. You can show patient alert messages that are created in the patient information tabs. Manual searching will allow a certain type of searching that we'll cover in another video. Numeric chart numbers will make the chart number 00001 and so forth, rather than being the first 3 letters of the last name, the first 2 letters of the first name, and a 3-digit number. Hide inactive items will hide anything in the system that is inactive. I don't suggest clicking that here, Rather, in the areas that you are working, such as providers or patients, if you choose to hide your inactive items there, it's a little better off. You're a little better off. Ask Claim Crew Create Filters is something that will be covered in another video. Office messaging by user, you'll want to click if you want to use our inter-office messaging system. Multiply by units and save contracted amounts are really nice features of TotalMD. Obviously, if you're putting multiple units in, the system will, if you check this box, the system will multiply the amounts for you. Save contracted amounts will allow you, when you're putting information into an ERA that you're posting, if you put the contracted amount, the system will remember that for the next time you use that particular code for that particular payer. This patient entry box shows you the different choices of tabs that you can set up when you're setting up your patients in the system. Defaults, if you only see patients at one facility, you'll want to default it here. If you use multiple facilities, you'll want to leave that blank. If you only have one provider, you can put your provider in here, but if you do have multiple providers, I would leave that blank. In order to use tax, if you're taxing some services or items that you're selling from your practice, you can do a manual tax or an auto tax, put in your tax rate, and there's a tax code that you'll create in a separate screen that will be covered in another video. These other 5 areas will all be set up by your support staff during your setup process. These statement messages appear on the statements when you print them. So you might want to come back and edit these later after you get a chance to look at statements and see what they look like. The custom message will show up on the bottom of every statement. The current 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days will show up as appropriate on the statements when they're printed. The email setup, this piece of it here, will be done by your support staff when they're setting you up to enable you to send this message that you create yourself from your scheduler to your patients to confirm their appointment. This box here is fully customizable. You can make it say whatever you want to, and it will be sent from the scheduler when you send it. The other 3 tabs in here will be covered in other videos through TotalMD. So now we've made our changes to the system. We're going to save changes, and that pretty much wraps up this video.